I'm a software engineer, kind of the prototypical nerd. I never had much with spirituality until about 6 years ago when I did a large group awareness training, and I found out that my view was kind of limited. If it couldn't be proven, it didn't exist. The training caused some change, and I shifted more towards if it can't not be proven, it probably exists. Something like that. Okay. So that meant I started reading books like Conversations with God and well, all that kind of stuff. Then after about 2 years of that, I bumped into the law of attraction. Lots of fun. Manifesting stuff. Yes. Oh, now I can get what I want.
Yeah. Now the ego, I don't have to earn money, I just manifest it.
It was just latching on to that.
Right. Yeah. Spiritual materialism.
Yeah. So now I could achieve anything I wanted. So I thought. And after about a year and a half of that, I found I couldn't manifest everything I wanted. There were still limiting beliefs, blockers, I don't know what you call it. So then I bumped into this training, a very practical one, and it helped me deal with the limiting beliefs. So one by one I started attacking those beliefs and rewrote them, reframed them, turned them into something that I liked. And in that way, the energy that was constantly working against me started working with me.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I did one after the other, and then at some point I was like, holy shit, it's all just stories, and I'm just rewriting them, but I can make them into anything I want.
Right.
And it's all just a story.
Yeah.
It's just an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make it from a nightmare into a good dream, but it's still a dream.
Yeah. So that's kind of where my awakening, if you call it like that, happened. Everything's a story, and all my fears dropped away. I was standing in this sea of stories, and no more fears, no more limits, no more resistance to life. And it was like this huge wave of everything that I had put out there and I wanted. It was just coming like that. In a few months, my life entirely changed.
Yeah.
And I achieved pretty much everything that I set out to achieve without any effort at all. I didn't have to do stuff at all. I was lying on the beach and the phone would start ringing and things started happening. It was stupid. Okay. So I'm in this weird flow, and there's a lot of enthusiasm involved there. It was wonderful. It was amazing. And I was having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then a shift started to happen. I pretty much realized everything I wanted to realize, but it was all just a story, and it wasn't important anymore. I was living in Europe before it started, and I pretty much did away with everything I had there. I just gave it away or threw it away, and I came to Canada with a backpack and my laptop, and that was it. And I don't care for any stuff anymore. I don't care for stuff. I don't care for money. I don't care for prestige. It's just bullshit stories. So then after that wave of enthusiasm, I kind of came into a wave of more like contentment, boredom. And don't get me wrong, I still enjoy life very much, and in a weirder way than I would have thought possible before that. For example, just today, when I'm driving over here, I'm enjoying the wonderful weather, where other people would say, "What? It's raining cats and dogs," and I'm like, "Wow, wonderful."
Yeah.
But there's also kind of a detachment happening. I watched the TV. I happened to watch some images of what's happening in Japan, and I'm more fascinated by the enormous power that the wave has, and that pushes cars and stuff towards those people that are watching that and not even running away. And I'm simply amazed by what's happening, and maybe I feel a little bit sorry for those people, but
I understand. Yeah,
it is what it is. It is what it is. And when you watch the news, it's just one big stupid story after another, hyping, breaking news, earthquake in Japan, imminent meltdown of nuclear reactor, bullshit. It's just on one heap with Justin Bieber shaves his head or something. Anyway.
What's your question for me?
Well,
by the way, I love the story of your life and unfolding. It is fascinating.
Yeah, well, I find it fun. It's a fun story to tell. So, about a year and a half ago, when the awakening happened, I also happened into the Jet McKenna books, which helped me give everything a place. And when I looked them up, somebody mentioned that this might be Adyashanti who wrote them. And that
if I didn't know better, I would have thought I wrote them.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that caused me to bump into your teachings, and they rang a bell for me. And I've listened to many of your tapes, and I've been to the evenings you gave 2 years ago in Vancouver, and well, I'm here now. And you're coming very tantalizingly close to where I'm at now, but I'm still missing something. It's more like the...
What's the piece you feel like you're missing? Now what?
Yeah. Now what? Now I'm here. It's all stories. It's all. With the dropping away of all the fears, also a lot of the enthusiasm and drive has dropped away.
Right. Of course, that's that raw energy, right?
It's like you said yesterday about something like. Enthusiasm is driving the ego. To me, it's more the other way around because of the dissolving of the ego. The ego was driving the enthusiasm.
I suppose you could state it either way.
So, right now I'm in this boredom spot, and I'm being bored of being bored.
Yeah.
What now? I've even tried all kinds of stuff. It's like whatever I want to do, I can do. I
get it.
I even started channeling, for example, and there's wonderful stuff coming out, and then after a while, people start asking the same questions over and over again, and it must be the same for you. How do you deal with every single time answering the same story? They say the same question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I suppose because for each person, it's actually a very relevant thing for them. So when I'm with somebody, I actually pretty much forget about that I've often heard the similar question 1,000 times, because for that person, that's their first time.
Well, mine's pretty much.
You know what I mean?
Probably the same question you've heard over and over again, but.
Yeah. So
where do I go next?
Where are you going next?
I don't know.
Well, you're going there one way or the other, but it's going to be right through the bottom of the boredom. That's where it's going to go.
You just sit it out.
Give way to it. A little different than sitting it out. Sitting it out's like waiting it out. If you try to wait it out, you'll just keep waiting. It's a giving way, giving away, giving way to it.
It's not that I'm sitting doing nothing. For example, I really still like my work.
Yeah,
and I'm still
nice.
Good at it, and I love trouble solving. It's been all my life has been a puzzle that I've been solving, and
yeah.
Right now I'm probably debugging myself instead of a program. I'm doing stuff. I go out there. I have a group that I run about law of attraction and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. I'm still doing so. It's not that I'm sitting still, but every single time when I come home, I'm like, okay.
Neither am I suggesting. And I wouldn't even suggest that you just sit still and not do anything. But I'm really addressing right where you're from where you're actually at right now. Right? I know where you're at. I've been there. I know it. People arrive there. It's fairly commonplace, especially given your description of your own unfolding. It's like absolutely inevitable that you'd be experiencing what you're experiencing when you experience it at this moment. It's almost predictable. To have this, I guess we could say, keep going. Yeah, I don't know how to play it more clearly than you just give way, give yourself, all of yourself to the boredom. It's harder for me to say more than that. There's something that's deeply, that's actually going on. There's a dynamic that underlies all this that, the whole, we could call it a process, right? Both sudden and gradual. This whole process is a process, like I said, there's the part of it that's an insight, and there's a part of it that's the diminishment of the center. Self, ego, however you want to see that, however you want to think about that. And we can see through immense amounts of the center. We can not be identified with the center, and yet bits of it are functioning. And that's the process. Less and less and less center as you go along, right? Less and less attachment, less desire, less grasping, less pushing away, less and less and less.
Yeah, it's pretty much true that bottom you just sketched about the cultural border.
Right.
I think I'm through that already. It's like...
So now the border is boredom.
Just a new border.
What's that?
It's just a new border then. And then after that, there's probably another one.
Well, there's definitely something else. There's definitely something that will unfold after the boredom. But it's a giving way to boredom. It's the center giving way to boredom. I mean, well, who wants to give way to boredom, right? And so we often don't for a long time. And then at some point, something just... I don't know how to describe it better than give way, unfortunately. I know that's probably a little bit abstract, but it's something just gives way to it. And then that's a big chunk of the center falls away with the boredom. The boredom seems like a pretty mundane thing, not really a big deal. Like it couldn't be anything really significant, but it actually ends up, you'll see that it actually ends up being a very, very significant thing to totally give way to it. It's a type of, I don't want to over dramatize it because that happens in spirituality too often, but it's a type of a death.
Yeah. I still don't have much with spirituality. It's so much talk. I'm very practical, simple, down to earth. That's what I like about your teaching. You
to your benefit.
Cut through the bullshit.
That's to your benefit. Yeah. It's the more practical and down to earth you can be. That's to your benefit. That's what helps. Yeah, when you get too abstracted in spiritual stuff, then it's very hard to work your way through all that nonsense.